Hi everyone, my name's Jay, I'm an addict.
Hi, Jay.
Just welcome any newcomers, anyone back from a relapse, and welcome to NA. We'll start. I'm getting recorded, so you take that recording away from me. So it's over there. Been recorded all my life. I mean, it reminds me of charge desks and interview rooms from back in the day. You know what I mean? It's shoot that button. You know what I mean? But thank God them days are over. You know what I mean? But yeah, H&I. Best thing what come into my life was H&I. You know what I mean? It's like I've been in institutions from probably about the age of 12. You know what I mean? Some type of institution, whether it be care, it could be lock-up units, it could be detoxes, it could be jail sentences. That's where my using took me. You know what I mean? Every time. When I used, I abused people I love, and I ended up in jail all the time. But I didn't know how to stop taking drugs. From the age of 12, went as a joint. Ended up going through the alphabet of them all, and I got to Class A, which is heroin, skag, whatever you want to call it. Was when I was 14. You know what I mean? That was in the early 80s. So that was when my life changed. You know what I mean? I grew up on a housing estate in the centre of Liverpool, where you done what you seen. You know what I mean? You followed people and followed that. He done that, she done that, and when you grow up, you end up doing that. You know what I mean? So that's my experience of living on a housing estate is you took drugs and that's all you knew. You know what I mean? It took everything away from me. It's the best institution it took away from me was probably school. You know what I mean? It took me schooling away from me because I was too busy getting stoned. You know what I mean? And getting expelled, going into care and all that. You know what I mean? But my using took me to places where I never thought I'd end up. You know what I mean? My first jail sentence was an institution. You know what I mean? Was probably at the age of 15, 16, and I never stopped. You know what I mean? I didn't know how to stop. It was like I got out. My first sentence as a probably 16-year-old was back in the day. It was like I got out, and it was like went in there fit as a fiddle. Thought I cracked it. Got off the drugs and everything. Didn't understand what I suffered with, and I ended up going to the circuits every day, as you do as a YP. If anyone's been to jail, it's a YP, not a YOI. You know what I mean? And it was like, so got out fit as a fiddle. As soon as I got out on the train, it's a drink. You know what I mean? Alcohol is a drug. You know what I mean? I understand that today. You know what I mean? Because it's always been alcohol what took me back to square one all the time. You know what I mean? I used to think I'm not a fucking alcoholic. You know what I mean? I'm not an alcoholic. Just give me a fucking pipe. You know what I mean? And I'm a junkie. Thoroughbred junkie. You know what I mean? I started at the age of 12, couldn't stop, and ended up walking into an H&I in the detox unit. So I've been like, since the 80s, I've been to jails, institutions, and wanting to die. So the jails didn't work. The detoxes didn't work. I ended up doing 6 of them, just using them like MOTs and just walking out at the end and using on the same day. My obsession to use overrid everything else. You know what I mean, in my life, my kids, my mother, everything. You know what I mean. So I was in this detox. I'm grateful for H&I. H&I saved my life. You know what I mean, because you're talking this detox centre I was in Liverpool, Kevin White unit. It was like my second home. It became. Without the detoxes, without the jail sentences, I wouldn't be sitting up here, because my using got that bad that I'd end up probably dead ages ago. Like my friends who I grew up with, they all died without getting H&I and NA. You know what I mean? They all died. They either took their own lives or they OD'd. You know what I mean? And that's on a daily basis with my friends. You know what I mean? So the best thing in my life today is I went into a detox centre with no desire to get clean, no desire whatsoever. I didn't know how to get clean. The only people I've ever known before going into this detox centre was people who use. I never seen no recovery until I went in this detox centre, and it was like I'd had enough. Spiritually bankrupt. I was spiritually, mentally, and physically unwell. That was October 2009 is when I went into that detox centre, and someone came in and done a share for HNI. Didn't know what HNI was. We didn't know what it was. I've heard of NA, but I weren't ready at that time. A few times I just weren't ready. You got to be ready, and I was ready at this time because pardon me language, I was fucked. I was fucked. So I went in there, my kids were in care. That's where using takes me. I get selfish, I get self-centered, and whoever I love comes second to my illness. You know what I mean? Because that's what it is with me. I use and abuse people I love, and that's where it got me. But this is an HNI presentation. It's not about where I've been. I'm an addict who couldn't stop. You know what I mean? I couldn't stop. I've tried everything. I tried detoxes. I've tried naltrexone. My poor mother, God rest her soul, never seen me clean. She used to come. I got out of detox once, and they put you on naltrexone tablets to stop the gear. You know what I mean? It's a blocker, isn't it, for gear? And I went, it's a smart idea. My mum didn't know that it didn't block crack cocaine. You know what I mean? So she'd go, James, just take that every morning. Just take that, please. Just take that. You know what I mean? She didn't realise that there was other drugs other than the heroin. You know what I mean? So that's the situation I was in with my family at that time. You know what I mean? My poor mother, God love her, the only time she had a bit of peace is when I was in jail. The police knocking on the door, you know what I mean? It happened all the time. Where I grew up, police knocking on your door was a normal thing to do. You know what I mean? So I'm going to jib all that. I'm going to get back to HNI and show you how it saved my life. You know what I mean? I was in a detox centre. I was shitting myself. I was fucking unwell. I was doing a rattle, and I didn't know what to do. And I ended up going into this NA meeting in the detox centre, and it was like I was shaking, I was sweating. Oh my God, it was unbelievable. I was sweating all them horrible feelings, you know what I mean? Because you can't interact with people. You know what I mean? I was in my room all the time, just isolating. My illness had me isolating either in the house, in the detox centre, everywhere as me isolating, because that's where it gets me. You know what I mean? But I started fighting it. My thinking started changing. I walked in this HNI room, the NA meeting, and it was like someone's done the share. I remember it, thank you very much. He knows who he is. You know what I mean? It was like that day is the day my life changed with HNI. I understood that there was a way out. You know what I mean? He'd done a share. The first bit of identification was what I got on that meeting. You know what I mean? Identification got me clean. He'd been where I've been the jails where I've been, the institutions where I've been. You know what I mean? And it was like, and he's clean, and he's passing an NA message. I was a suffering addict. When I was in this detox centre. You know what I mean? It was like, no way out. Just gonna square one, think about smack all the time. You know what I mean? It stopped. Started going to the NA meeting, and that was the first one. So it got me interacted in the NA, and it was like I got out of that detox centre, and I got a little bit of hope. You know what I mean? I'd done a rattle. I could do a rattle. Oh, detoxes are easy for me. I can do detoxes, but I can't stay clean. I could never stay clean. I didn't know how to stay clean. I didn't know people who could stay clean, so it was hard. You know what I mean? So got out of that detox centre and went to a meeting. Went to Oakfield meeting. in Liverpool, Wednesday night, 50 people. You know what I mean? You ever heard that expression where they say hit the rabbits, hit the headlights? That feeling when I walked through that door, because I was late for the meeting, and it was either fight or flight. Usually I'd go, fuck that, I'm not fronting them, you're messing on, you haven't even got a toot or nothing, I'm going to go home. I went through the door, fight or flight, I fought. I was sick of it, so I went through that door. The meeting had started, all the lights were bright, and I went bing. I mean, self-obsessed to death, and I stayed. You know what I mean? It was horrible, but I stayed. You know what I mean? It was like, I've done service for NA. I've been doing service for NA for like 15 years now. 15 years. You know what I mean? When I first started coming down to NA, it was like, the service positions were like, it was raw in NA. And then 15 years ago, you know what I mean? This was like, I didn't get well-round spiritual people. I'll just say that, you know what I mean? I didn't get well-round spiritual people, you know what I mean? I don't think I could have got well-round spiritual people because of the place where I've been. I needed people to bounce off when I first come round, you know what I mean? So they got me interacted with NA and service. Service is a very big thing for me, you know what I mean? Because Jay doesn't want to do fuck all for no one. But on God's will, He'll let me do service, you know what I mean? And that's what it's all about. You know what I mean? It's like me, I'm a grateful recovering addict. You know what I mean? I'm recovering on a daily basis, man. I'm getting on for like what? I've got a bit of clean time. Get like a big thing. It's a bit of clean time, you know what I mean? But it's a daily program. You know what I mean? That's all it is with me, because I can be as sick as fuck on one day. You know what I mean? As you all know, the ones who know me know that's true. You know what I mean? And the next day I can be a spiritual being. You know what I mean? It just goes where I'm at this program. You know what I mean? And that's what it is. You know what I mean? But I've been up all night thinking about this shit. You know what I mean? I got asked to do this. Well, the committee, the HNI committee, voted me in to do it. You know what I mean? And I'm fucking grateful for it. You know what I mean? Because I got asked 2 months ago. Didn't even enter me fucking head for 2 months. You know what I mean? The last 2 days, it's like got shot round the head. You know what I mean? It's like the feeling, the thoughts. You know what I mean? It's like I've done that many shares in my head, right? That none of them are true. You know what I mean? None of them are true, and that's where I get my identification from, because it's about the head, innit? You know what I mean? The thinking. You know what I mean? But hey ho. I was painting at 4 o'clock this morning. I went to the toilet this morning, and it was like one thought come in my head, and then I was up for 3 hours. You know what I mean? Because I had fear around this year. You know what I mean? And that's what it is. It's a fear-based illness with me. I had fear around it. You know what I mean? It was like I wanted you to like me. I wanted to say the right thing. I wanted to be in a room full of people. You know what I mean? I can do shares. You know what I mean? And when I come round, I couldn't even open my mouth. You know what I mean? My mouth was like no comment. I've grew up with no comment all my life. You know what I mean? Because it's got the area where I've come from. It was jails, institutions, and you met everyone. You know what I mean? Basically, my old fella taught me to say nothing. And I've kept that for years. You know what I mean? For years. It's like, yeah, the obsession got took away. Fucking greatest gift I've ever had in my life. You know what I mean? They said it, don't they? The obsession to use will get took away. It did. You know what I mean? I had the obsession to use from the age of 12. Some sort of substance. You know what I mean? Before substance, I was robbing purses. You know what I mean? I was pickpocketing at the age of 13. You know what I mean? Pickpocketing at the age of 13, burgling at 14. Just the process of crime. You know what I mean? The school of crime. That's where my life took me. You know what I mean? But it took me to institutions and wanting to die at the end of it. You know what I mean? But I'm so grateful for HNI. HNI in my life has given me a life today. Because I've done service all the way through in the meetings, you know what I mean? From taking the meeting to T position to all the positions. But the best position I've ever done is HNI. And it was like, because that's where I got my message. I got my message in the detox centre where I had no hope, you know what I mean? And now I go back in and I see the hope in people's eyes and I go, I've been where you've been. 6 times I've been where you've been, you know what I mean? They go, well, I'm not that long, you know what I mean? I come in at 42, I'm 57 now, you know what I mean? I thought it was 58. Someone said to me, you're not, you're 57, you bell end, you know what I mean? Fucking, the memory mind, you know what I mean? It's a bit fucked up sometimes, you know what I mean? But it's like, I'm grateful. There's my PR, I was having words with my PR yesterday about PR, HNI PR that is, right? About facts and figures, you know what I mean? So, the way I see it, I got my message through HNI, you know what I mean? So HNI is the best service I have ever done, you know what I mean? I've been into the jails to do service by doing shares in jails. I've done doing service around the detox centres, and we're finding that we're struggling for service positions for people to do service in HNI. You know what I mean? There's a lot of positions what are, this is in Merseyside, what are up for grabs. You know what I mean? How many people got the message through HNI? You know what I mean? There's a lot, the percentage in NA who got the message through HNI is very high. You know what I mean? So for me, it's about giving it back. You know what I mean? It's about giving it back. You know what I mean? So sometimes I can't be asked going in. You know what I mean? But my service to give back to people who would need a bit of hope comes before me. You know what I mean? Comes before me. So I'm grateful at it. Who's got a life today through me wildest dreams, you know what I mean? It's like, I've got a bit of peace. I've never had peace in my fucking life, never, you know what I mean? Until the last few days, I could put my head on the pillow and be asleep in 2 minutes, you know what I mean? The last 2 days, it took me 3 hours to get my head down, because of the head, you know what I mean? And that's where it goes, you know what I mean? But I've got a lot of benefits through this program, you know what I mean? A lot of benefits. I've realised that you need boundaries around work. I've realised that I can't open my mouth when I should. I should keep my mouth shut when I shouldn't, you know what I mean? And that's part of growing up in NA, you know what I mean? It's sometimes you get things wrong, and you do it anyway. You know what I mean? And that's J.O.T. for you. You know what I mean? That's just me as a person. You know what I mean? But I'm grateful for Narcotics Anonymous. You know what I mean? It's given me a life. It's given me my kids are in jail today. Them institutions where I grew up in, my kids are in there today. You know what I mean? I grew up with heroin and crack cocaine, spice, ket, and all the in drugs now. You know what I mean? I'm like, I go up and see my lad in jail, and it's like the role reversed, like looking in a mirror. You know what I mean? He's fucked on spice in the jail, and you can see it all over him. He's been in institutions, because when I abuse people who I love, right? So the people who I abuse the most are my family. You know what I mean? My kids don't get to see the dad if I use. My mother doesn't get to see the son unless he's on a visit. You know what I mean? And that's where my kids grew up. You know what I mean? I've done a lot of work around my kids. My family are the most people I've hurt the most in my life. You know what I mean? I've done a lot of work through them. And I see them in jail now and I go, that's what me ma used to think. The feeling I'm going through now over my son is the feeling that my mother was going through when a teenage son was in jail, or his 20-year-old son was in jail, or his 30-year-old son was in jail. You know what I mean? And that's where it took me. it was like, I'm grateful that NA's given me a life through doing this programme, that I can be the father to my kids, I can be the parent, I can be the granddad. You know what I mean? That's
Sorry, Jay.
acknowledged. I've always wanted to say that, acknowledged. but it's a programme of difference in it. But thank you very much for listening to me. You know what I mean? HNI is the best service. If you want to jump on, be my guest. You know what I mean? We'll show you the way. It's the best service ever. You know what I mean? And I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Thanks, Jay. Thanks, Jay.